Hey guys, it's Biggs. Thanks for tuning in. Spring is totally upon us now. We've gone from just a few degrees above freezing to like today, we're at like 24 degrees outside. It's got to be almost 8 o'clock at night. I just finished doing a live feed and I'm now sitting outside on my neighbor's manure pile. Biggs, why are you sitting in a pile of, now we'll just leave that for you guys' interpretation. Sun's starting to go down, but last year when we started this channel, I showed you guys something at the very back of my property that last year shockingly had something really odd happen to it. And we don't know what changed, what transpired, what happened that caused it. We had no idea. We took one little change to it. And this year I thought I'd give you an update now that spring is fully upon us and all the ice is gone and all the snow is gone. So we're gonna go and take a look at our pond. Now Biggs, you're probably wondering, hey Biggs, why are you sitting on a manure pile? Well, you guys all know me, maybe Biggs might be, tell little tales, tell some stories, have some fun. No, maybe Biggs is full of, maybe we don't know. You guys be the judge, but we're gonna go take a peek at that pond. I'm, needless to say, I'm pretty ecstatic this year. This year, it looks freaking amazing. Ooh, it's gonna be exciting. Well, at least it is for me. Because it's my channel, super exciting. Y'all love it. Now the pond is at the very back of my property. You guys can't really see it. The sun's setting that way. But this is the paddock behind me here. This is the whole paddock for the cows and the pigs, and all goes way over there to their shelters and stuff. It encompasses probably 2/3 of our property. That's devoted to the animals. And then the rest is all grass and lawn and play area for the kids. But at the very back of our property is this giant pond. And I've shown it to you guys before. The sun's setting, so it's gonna be kind of bright over there. But it's a huge pond. And we've had the pond, well, the pond's been here since we moved in, but the pond is, this is our 5th year. We're just in the process of renewing our mortgage. We're on our 5th year. So that's happening right now as we speak. And last year, come spring thaw, the pond had some very, very devastating, creepy, eerie type things happen. Things that we couldn't explain. And Biggs is pretty much a very good naturalist. Biggs can usually explain most things by thinking them out and talking about them and figuring them out. But I couldn't figure this thing out. So the only thing we did different last year, prior to the thaw, was the year prior, we went and did a bunch of landscaping. We brought in a huge excavator and he spent about 2 days digging and doing a bunch of stuff for us and basically created for us our own little beach. I'm wearing my absolute total finery. I'm in full hillbilly mode because I live out in the country. It's a sunny day and we've been waiting for it for so long, but we created our own little beach. It's our own little oasis. We can sit out here. That little spike that's in the water right there, that's where I tie up my floaty. It's got 2 drink holders. We're set. We're living the hillbilly lifestyle. Now my goal was to take this lake and try to naturalize it. Even though it's a completely man-made situation, I want to naturalize it as best as I could. And that's the step of adding back life to it. And by adding life, it's not adding overstocking of this or that. It's creating plant life. And plant life will then in turn become the natural filtering system. That'll break down all that organic mass. Because in the wild, if an animal or bird droppings or a leaf or anything like that falls into a water area, be it a lake, a stream, anywhere, it doesn't really matter, that environment has to be able to handle biologically that item and break that item down. If it doesn't, the environment is not stable and the environment will sacrifice for itself. And when you look at different things like some of the different lakes, when we talk about pollution and things like that, We see areas that are not stable, that have introductions of things that are foreign, or introduction of too many things, overly stocked, or one thing or the other, and that's what's causing the problem. But this lake, we've introduced a lot of native plant life to it, different types of rushes, willows. Hopefully you guys can hear me over the neighbor there. We're into full hillbilly mode, so the neighbor's got their quad out. But we've introduced some bulrushes and different things like that, and they will aggressively start breaking down that nitrogenous matter. So it makes the environment a bit more stable. What we weren't expecting this year was the sheer volume of goldfish. Now, goldfish were introduced to this pond, as I mentioned in the previous video. Shortly thereafter our wedding, we had a house party with a bunch of our friends from our wedding party, and we had a thing called goldfish races. Now, it's not something I would condone much anymore when I look about the ethics of keeping these things, but those goldfish were used for that afternoon, and then they were released into basically what I'm going to call their own private haven. And these goldfish, last year we thought they were in trouble when we saw what was left in the spring with all the demise that we were faced, and it was unexplained. But when I look at it this spring, and the footage I'm going to show you guys, this pond is doing absolutely amazing. Now, it's not deep enough. I would have to bring in something. I'd have to pump it all out and dredge it and do all sorts of different types of things differently if we would wanted to stock it with something, say, like a trout or something like that, that could actually be used for food. Well, our goal, neither my wife, myself, or most of our kids, neither of us are really fish eaters. Fish are friends. We eat birds, because birds are food, not friends. And birds don't live underwater. Fish do. So the fish that live in here can live out a beautiful life all on their own. Now, the only thing that we did do different, besides the introduction of a lot of the native plant life that you see on the border, you can't see anything, it's all dead bigs. But trust me, all that plant life that's there, when we look over there, there's plant life out that comes out into the lake almost 20 feet. Well, most of that would be basically right against the area where it's shallow, and they'd be in like 6 inches of water normally. But our water table is exceptionally high this year, which is awesome, because we've had nothing but drought for the past 4 or 5 years. But the only other thing we've done has been the introduction of that thing right there. That windmill, it's a 16-foot windmill. It doesn't look like it from here. And it has an air stone that is probably 10 inches in diameter. And it's on that giant hose that's on the surface there. And all I did this year was I just threw it out there. I always take the air stone out every year, and I take the hose and I pull it out and I throw it up on the bank, because once the lake freezes and it starts freezing down, this lake will stratify and freeze down to about 6 feet solid. That air has nowhere to go. Eventually the ice will probably crack, but I didn't want to damage anything. I definitely didn't want to cause any back pressure for my whatever it is, converter or whatever it is, the air pump or the diaphragms or however it works inside the windmill. So I just basically pull it out in the fall, detach the air stone, put the air stone in the shed to save it, and then I just take the hose and I wrap it around the base of the windmill, and it can run all winter long without issue. And then I did it just a couple of days ago and got it all set up again, and everything's going fine. Today's a wonderful day that we've had zero wind. So there's no aeration going on right now, but it's not that hot right now. It's down to probably about 15 degrees above zero on the Celsius scale. So it's a nice, wonderful evening to sit out here after how warm it's been. All the animals, there's Bella and Chewy and all the pigs and stuff, they're all out grazing now. All the grass is just starting to sprout up, and that's the most tender grass, so they're absolutely loving it. The one thing that you guys see floating right there, though, I've got to go get that. I really don't want to go and get it right now because the water's still probably really, really cold. And I don't want to get out my floaty, because that means I have to get out some drinks to go with my floaty, and that means an afternoon, and you know where that's going to go. But that floaty is an orange juice jug that is attached to a 5-gallon bucket, hopefully. And that's normally where we put the air stone, is in the inside of the 5-gallon bucket, and then we drop it in the deepest portion of the lake. The fact that it's there makes me question whether or not it's still attached anymore. But it's not against the bank. It's still somewhere in the middle of the lake. But if I can get it, and the only benefit of that is that way the air stone sits in the bucket, and it's not always stirring up the mulm that may be on the bottom of the lake. And that makes the water a little bit more clearer. Now, the one thing that is different is the water. When I look in this water right now, it's pretty clear. But it's also, it's a clear natural water, natural color. And what I mean by that is normally we put in this lake, and we did it once. We did it the first year after we did this, so it's 2 years ago. We buy this organic natural dye, and it's called deep blue. And what the purpose of this deep blue dye is it turns the water almost a tropical blue color. But the benefit of it is not just that you get this beautiful blue color water. The real benefit is the fact that it also prohibits algae growth, because it darkens the shade of the water a little bit, and that really provides a real huge benefit. Gives us this, it's hard to say it with a straight face, but a tropical oasis kind of a look, but also it also does have an actual benefit, and it doesn't deter anything in the natural environment as well. So we will be doing that again this year. You guys got to take a peek at this. The amount of life in this pond already at this early stage before you see anything that looks anything green whatsoever is incredible.
The common goldfish, Casarius radus, is a relative of carp, but it doesn't get anywhere near as large as most of its relatives, similar to like native carp or even koi. It's a true cold water fish, so it's ideally suited to a northern environment. This is just a dugout or a retention pond, and this was dug out to be able to build up around the foundation of our house, so it's not naturally occurring. These goldfish are often sold in the trade as feeder fish, so I think we're giving them a real good life. They're inexpensive. They give a nice splash of color in the pond, which gives a bit of visual interest and stuff. Some of them probably will get predated upon by different types of birds, but these are all the common short-finned variant of the comet goldfish. So they're a little bit faster, but as you can see by the density of the numbers that we have, we can afford for a few of them to possibly get taken out. There's a possibility we might have some turtles or some different types of frogs that'll come into the pond on their own. We have had in the past, and they'll help control the population a little bit as well. But the biggest culprit for killing off goldfish in the pond is algae. So hence we do that thing with that treatment with that organic blue dye that actually reduces the light transmission through the water column, thereby reducing algae levels. And then the added addition of the oxygen created by the windmill, as well as all the plant life, is making this pond a lot more natural. So I can tell you I'm extremely pleased this year to see all these goldfish. I'm not overly excited by the massive densities of them. I was a little bit shocked when I came down with my daughter the first day when the ice finally broke up to see them all sunning themselves in the shallows, as you can see there. These massive schools of thousands and thousands of them. And as we walk around the pond in different areas, we see little pockets of adults and more fry. Look at these huge schools of fry coming in from the center of the lake. Now, about 20 feet out there, there's a big natural reed bed of some naturalized plants that have happened. I introduced some seeds and different things to the pond, and that's how it just took naturally off on its own. This is generally a different area of the pond. It's a little bit more shallow on this side, so we don't use this side as much for, say, swimming. We concentrated the deeper area with the beach entry on the other side of the pond. And that was all done very consciously to provide at least as much of a naturalized area that would be left undisturbed, better suited for the animals and the wildlife and the plant life and so forth. So we weren't always kicking up and disturbing it. But overall, compared to last year, after that massive die-off that took out fish and frogs and everything we didn't have an answer for, this is a very pleasant surprise. So, amid all the stuff that's gone on in 2020 so far, this is one nice ray of hope for 2020 being a great year. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy.